In today's team selection video, we're going to take a look at my personal FPL team to see what my plans are for the game week, and as well we're going to answer the question, is Salah actually the best captaincy option this game week? Well, let's see in today's team selection video. Game week 26 is the last week I'm going to have my assistant manager chip active, so we will have a little discussion about whether it's worth putting a transfer on the likes of an Arnie Slot to go for a table bonus manager or someone else like Arteta. Just before we do so, of course, I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the season, so if you aren't subscribed to the channel just yet, go ahead and click that button for future FPL videos and, of course, deadline streams. But let's have a talk about the defence and then move on to my assistant manager in Arnie Slot. We have the Arsenal double up, and of course I think this is probably the last week where we have a really high percentage of a clean sheet and of course a win as well, which kind of brings me on to Arteta in just a second. So happy to have the Arsenal boys, and a lot of people did sell David Raya, not so much Gabriel, but definitely David Raya, so it is nice when he comes away with maybe a save point and a clean sheet, and perhaps we can expect this in the West Ham fixture. It really depends how Graham Potter's side performs on the day. We have Kirkes there with Wolves at home. Slightly disappointing against Southampton away from home not to pick up the clean sheet, but against Wolves I think he has a great opportunity to come away with something in that fixture. With Trent away to Man City, it kind of is a bit more of a conversation. You have a situation where you've not got too many minutes for Trent. You're kind of getting over that 60-minute mark, and then he seems to come off for Connor Bradley, which maybe is a concern, but it has massively benefited me within the double game week of 25. You know, ensuring that clean sheet is locked and loaded for the first fixture, and then for the second fixture scores just before he goes off the pitch. So maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I'm not too much focused on a transfer out for Trent at the moment. I think I want to spend my transfers elsewhere, maybe on Aston Villa assets and potentially a transfer used on Arnie Slot. Beautiful segue, by the way, onto my assistant manager here in Arnie Slot. The real conversation is it worth selling Arnie Slot for a free transfer to go to someone with a table bonus or someone with just a good fixture like Arteta and Iraola? For me, I think I'm still undecided on this. I don't know whether it's worth risking things and going for the table bonus. The upside is so massive, it's probably worth it. So I actually have penciled out a transfer used on the assistant manager, just because I think by the time the deadline comes around, I'll be a bit more decided and perhaps have a better idea of who to go for in terms of table bonus. Because when I look at the fixtures, the table bonus fixtures especially, it's really hard to decide who's going to go ahead and get a result. When I look at someone like Arteta or Iraola, I feel a lot safer within that transfer in the sense that they have a high win percentage, especially Arteta for the game week, highest clean sheet odds, highest win odds. It looks like a pretty safe and potentially profitable transfer. So I like the idea of Arteta, but surely in the last week of the assistant manager being active, I want to try chase all of those points for the table bonus. But yeah, that is the defence so far, and of course the assistant manager in Arnie Slot. Let's move up now to the midfielders. If you're looking at the captaincy armband on Mohamed Salah here saying, oh my god, he's clickbaited me into watching this video, he's just going to go ahead and captain Mohamed Salah, you're completely wrong. It's just a placeholder for the conversation we're about to have about captaincy for the game week, because there is real potential in going against Mohamed Salah for this particular game week, but it could be the case that I actually go for him in the end. But let's actually talk about it in sort of my thought process with captaincy this game week, because again, it is deeper than just sticking it on Mohamed Salah. The double game weeks have passed. Maybe it's better to go with someone else. Mohamed Salah, first off, of course, Manchester City away. City have looked a bit more gelled together as a side, a little bit better in terms of performances in the Premier League. Of course, we look at last night's performance. Maybe we can obviously argue that Mohamed Salah could potentially do the exact same that Mbappe has done. But yeah, I think there is potential of going against Mohamed Salah with this slightly harder fixture than what we've seen in recent weeks for him. With the other captaincy options, I think Mbeumo is definitely up there in terms of conversation. He is very low down, though, with Fantasy Football Hub's prediction tool. You have him not even on this section of the page. You have to scroll all the way down past the Arsenal defenders to see him at the very bottom of the screen there. But, of course, I still think he's a great captaincy option this game week against a very poor Leicester side. Leicester seem to kind of concede goals from that right-hand side a little bit more, so maybe there's something in that with Bryan Mbeumo, but I still think Bryan Mbeumo is one of my favourite captaincy options this game week, and he's potentially one of my favourite ones, being maybe the first option that I would go for, but still, I really don't know. That's why the placeholder is on Mohamed Salah this week. He has been a little bit dry in recent weeks, Bryan Mbeumo, but in terms of data, he actually has looked pretty impressive. Similar with Dango Ouattara, of course, he's been doing very well for Bournemouth, playing out of position, listed as a midfielder, playing up front in a very, very good Bournemouth side. Wolves at home, of course, is a good fixture for Bournemouth, and I think just the way they've been performing all season speaks volumes about their team at the moment, and of course Kirkes in my team as well. I wouldn't mind having triple Bournemouth at the moment, but yeah, Dango Ouattara is definitely a captaincy option for me as well. I think there's great potential within that home fixture against Wolves to be, really explosive and perhaps get a few attack and returns this game week. We'll come on to Palmer now as a potential option as well. I kind of only put him in this captaincy conversation because he is super high up on the prediction tool that Fantasy Football Hub provide. 6.6 points predicted for Cole Palmer this game week. I would say I'd rather go with the likes of Mbeumo, Dango and Salah and possibly even Watkins over Cole Palmer this week. He just has been a bit inconsistent, and maybe that's not down to him. Maybe that's just down to Chelsea and the way they're playing at the moment. And yeah, it's difficult to really put your finger on what's going wrong at Chelsea right now, but I think against Aston Villa away from home, he's not a bad captaincy shout whatsoever. We come to Rodgers. He's not within the captaincy conversation, but still, he is a decent option this game week to have in your teams against Chelsea at home. Like I mentioned with Palmer, something's just not right with Chelsea at the moment, and Brighton scoring 3 against them. What could Aston Villa do against him with that really impressive attack they've got? So yeah, that is the midfield, and of course a little bit more of a captaincy debate. We'll speak about the captaincy on Watkins in just the next section now. We'll continue the captaincy conversation with Ollie Watkins here, because I think against Chelsea at home, with the defensive mistakes Chelsea are making at the moment, a player like Ollie Watkins and how intelligent he is at reading the game, and he pulls out wide quite a lot, drifts into the box. I think he can capitalise on those type of mistakes that Chelsea are very prone to at the moment. So you have to have him within the conversation of captaincy. And of course, with Duran outgoing, his minutes are going to be a lot better in the Premier League, it seems. So I would say Ollie Watkins is up there for captaincy as well. Maybe not so much as Salah, Dango and Mbeumo in my particular FPL team, but yeah, I think it is within the conversation to captain Ollie Watkins this game week. And of course, with the next player next to him, you probably look at me and thinking I'm absolutely crazy for starting João Pedro this game week. And you're absolutely right, I'm not going to start João Pedro this game week unless we get massive confirmation that he's available to start for Brighton against a really weak Southampton side. What I will say is my transfer this week, as you've seen in previous videos this week, and of course if you haven't watched my previous videos this game week, go ahead and watch them. There's some really useful information in those videos, but the likes of Cunha really appeal to me, especially in the next few game weeks. You have Beto as a bit of a differential option as well, going away from Ndai into Beto. Might be a decent transfer to save a bit of money, but I'm really not too sure where that money wants to go at the moment. There is potential within that move if I really, really like the move from Palmer to Haaland in game week 29, but I'm still not too sure on that move. I might even prefer Marmoush at this point in recording, but yeah, that's kind of my transfer plan with João Pedro. Just stick him on the bench. He's probably not going to be available for this fixture, but if he is, it's definitely worth playing him. Yeah, that's kind of the conversation to be had about my entire team for game week 26. Of course, captaincy, it's really up in the air at the moment. I really don't know where I'm going to land. If I was forced right now to pick a captaincy for game week 26 on the spot, and the deadline was literally in a minute, I'd probably go with Brian and Mbeumo with that Leicester away fixture. I just think there is great potential for attack and returns for Brentford as a team in that fixture. And Brian Mbeumo and Johan Wissa always have their hands in the pot when it comes to attack and returns for Brentford. They're both having really good seasons, so why not just go ahead and back Brian Mbeumo with the really good fixture. Dango, really great option as well. And of course, Mohamed Salah has to be up there within the conversation. It's mainly those three that I'm deciding with at the moment. And of course, with the assistant manager transfer, I am completely undecided. I will be completely honest with you guys who watch the videos. I just don't know where I'm going to go with that. But I have penciled out a transfer to use on my assistant manager because I think there is potential to maybe gain points over Arne Slot this week with a pretty difficult fixture against Manchester City away from home. But yeah, that is my game week 26 team. It is another Friday deadline this week at 6:30 p.m. So make sure you tune into my live stream on both YouTube and TikTok at 4:30 p.m. start time. So look forward to that, and obviously make sure you're subscribed to get notified when that starts. And of course, I always like to mention in my videos a massive thank you to those who support the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure you drop a like, and if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and click that button for future FPL videos and of course deadline streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.